Okay, hello there, friends. This is a playlist I've been wanting to create for a very long time and actually put it to music and to make it all fancy, but I am not doing that today. And I'm sorry if I have a little bit of some coughing. Hopefully, I won't do that in this episode, just getting over being sick. So, what I wanted to say is this playlist, I wanted to basically be reading book excerpts from different books that have influenced me over my lifetime, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about before we actually start what I'm going to be doing. Maybe this will just actually end up being an intro video. Um, so, hands down, one of the things that affected me in terms of my own therapy for myself, I've never done professional therapy, talk therapy, is reading. Um, I've always read mostly fiction since I was a teenager, but what I want to say, in hands down across the board, and probably a lot of people that are Christians, or they have their Bibles or whatever the things that they are reading on a daily basis of what helps them. It's the same thing that they're doing. So basically, I've just compiled from all the different types of philosophies that I've studied and kind of created my own Bible for myself. I actually do tear pages out of books to create my own things, actually lyrics from the music I grew up with, from the punk and hardcore world, Sufi philosophy, Buddhism philosophy. For those of you who haven't listened to me before or heard me talk about, I was raised Baptist and kind of strict in that area, which is I didn't relate to it, so I related more to the Buddhism philosophy, way of living, compassion, and all those sorts of beautiful things you can look up for yourself. There's many different types of Buddhism. So I wanted to start off by saying that even the simple step in your daily practice, if you do nothing, but yet you either sit and write with yourself or read a couple of, if you want to say passages or something from a book, whatever helps you. But it's I call it a very simple thing to do. Some of the things people like me recommend that they do involve, you have to make a concerted effort to do them and do them. That's what's going to make them more effective. But I try to at least recommend things that are really simple because these are things that I do and have worked for me, and I consider myself pretty successful in terms of thus far how far I've gotten in life in terms of my healing work and how I move past through some certain negative thinking thoughts that I've had regarding family members and stuff. So I wanted to start off by saying is that maybe you didn't know this was your thing. Maybe you're going to find out, but really words, since I'm also a writer, have been very impactful. And if you do really sit with them, and I think if they're said in the very perfect exact way, they really do connect with you. So don't be surprised if it brings tears to your eyes, or just kind of just understanding what it means to connect with yourself, which is different, right? Being spiritually connecting is kind of different than organized religion sort of thinking. That's for another show. So I think that was really important for me to bring up here, is that words can be impactful, and excuse me, Ernest Holmes does talk about in one of his books called Prayer about it being a spiritual mind treatment. So think of this going back to, if you want to look at it as programming and conditioning, which I have felt like I've had to not repair, but I have to uncondition myself from certain things I've been taught. And so you can do that, like we just said, through reading or audio, listening to different binaural beats, hypnosis. There's things, all sorts of things like that. So let's go ahead and start. Oh, and also another important note. since I had a lot of negative thoughts around the word prayer and God, that word God, um, when I first started reading this material, I did have a challenge with it. And once I decided to replace it and or switch it out, just same thing, replace, switch it out for something else, even if it's just that you want to believe God is inside you, great, beautiful. I also believe in oneness, but in a creator, not necessarily though in that context of what I was taught. Okay, so replace it or choose what you want to do with it. You do have a choice, and pray and meditate interchangeably. Pray, I look at it as just talking to myself. But whatever you want to do to connect with yourself, you have the right to do that. And I encourage you to do that because there's a lot of things like this that you will miss out on. And I feel like that helped me out so much. So I'm so glad I've expanded my mind. So while I'll be reading, I'm going to be reading the actual affirmations and statements. I'm also going to be reading the little paragraphs that come along with the book just here and there. Okay? So chapter 7, I'm going to start with this. Okay. So your faith can penetrate clouds of unbelief and reveal the truth which is forever perfect. Your words do not create this truth. They merely reveal it. By way of illustration, imagine yourself looking at the picture of a beautiful landscape. In this picture, there are trees, a house, a stream of water, a beautiful meadow, and in the background, mountains and a blue sky dotted with clouds. You look at it long and contemplating its beauty. It's a funny example, right? It's so simple. Now, suppose that a colored glass is placed between you and the picture, so that the picture appears blurred. Everything seems distorted, and yet nothing has happened to the picture. It is your business to remove the colored glass, because the picture is still there on the wall. It still may be seen. Mental statements are merely a method you use for the clearing up of mental images. Neither affirmations, denial, nor statements create the pattern of perfection, nor can they change it. They merely rearrange your thinking. If you could rearrange your thinking instantly, you would have an instantaneous result. If it takes time, do not become discouraged, for you are working with a definite principle which cannot fail you. Your desire for self-expression is inherent in the divine pattern itself. It is because you intuitively feel this pattern that you grope back towards it. Learn to trust the intuition within you, which causes you to sense the pattern and say, "There is nothing in me which can obstruct the divine pattern. I know that every organ, action, and function of my being is acting in accord with the law of universal harmony. All doubt, fear, confusion, or uncertainty is cast out of my mind." Okay, page 57. That was page 56, if I didn't say that. Whatever things you desire, believe that you have them and say, "Surrender. I surrender all fear, all doubt. I let go of all uncertainty. I know there is no confusion, no lack of confidence. I know that what is mine will claim me, know me, rush to me. I accept the gift of life for myself and for everyone else." There should be a definiteness in your mental attitude, but no sense of coercion. There should be a one-pointedness without any attempt at concentration. There should be a definite direction without trying to force anything. And there should be a positive decision without compulsion. Okay. So, next area I'm going to go to, page 82. So imagine if you start reading these things every day, how this can influence the way you think. If you read these things without a doubt in your mind, You're going to make them true as a positive new mental way of thinking, right? Spiritual treatment. So the repetition, the everything, don't feel bad about it. Even if you read the same thing over and over again or listen to my voice every day, imagine if you did this every day, okay, and made it a habit. So page 82. Turn your mind entirely from the condition and think in an exactly opposite manner. This is when, if you're experiencing conditions of being unhappy, okay? There is nothing in me that can entertain doubt. There is no fear, discouragement, or uncertainty. I am filled with confidence, with the expectancy of good, with the knowledge that the Spirit is always triumphant. I know that my word definitely reverses any and every negative situation. In actual practice, you reverse the old thought patterns by definitely knowing that they can no longer operate through you. This is more than a theory. Thoughts of peace will reverse thoughts of confusion. Consciousness of faith will reverse fear. It is now known that fear and discouragement, the feeling of unworthiness and inferiority, as well as a sense of uncertainty about one's relationship to God, probably start with an unconscious sense of rejection. Yes, that is true. Okay, page 83. When you're feeling or have thoughts of sense of uncertainty, of inferiority, of rejection, say to yourself, the Spirit never rejects me. I accept myself. I realize my center in the divine mind. I know that I am one with all the good there is. I am one with all the power there is. I am one with all the peace there is. I know there is nothing in me that can condemn or be condemned. There is nothing in me that can be judged or be judged. I know that my word uproots any sense of rejection from my consciousness. Okay, another thing I wanted to add on here, I didn't plan on it, even though I always have, I feel like, a comment or opinion to something, is a large part of why we face these sorts of things with ourselves, moments of rejection, is because of our upbringings. It's for another show, I know, to be talking about being born into this world this way or that way, but this is one of the big reasons that we have a hard time just accepting ourselves and unconditionally and feeling love for ourselves, because the American culture does not exactly support this, okay? You can go watch my videos and different things on that if you really want to know me talking about self-worth. But that's also part of my specialty. And that's also why this takes so long for some of us to learn our worth in different things, because it's been ingrained in us since birth. Okay, page, just another good feel-good things to be thinking. Page 84. Listening to your inner calm. I am submerged in peace. I am surrounded by peace. I am immersed in peace. There is nothing but peace. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. And you will find that this confusion disappears. The light which the storm seemed to have extinguished again becomes steady. Peace comes from a sense of union with the whole. Confusion comes from a sense of separation. Confusion comes because you are only looking at the surface. Excuse me. The Spirit within me makes all things new. Every negative thought or condition is erased from my experience. I am aware of my union with good. I am conscious of my oneness with life. I expect more prosperity, more happiness, more harmony than ever before. I walk in the joy of the ever-increasing good. That was page 85, in case you wanted to know. And I'm going to wrap up this little 15-minute session. Again, if you would like to replace the God word, I'm going to caution you right here. I know that I'm living in a universe of law and order, in a universe of pure spirit, of divine intelligence. I know that I am surrounded by and immersed in the mind of God. The mind of God is flowing through me. I live, move, and have my being in pure spirit. The mind of God is right where I am. It is ever available and always operating. Okay, so another thing, just wanting to end this with that, is that what I do really like about this book is that parts of it that I really like, not only, of course, the words. His other book, Prayer, I highly recommend too, is that he's speaking at all of this as like a universal consciousness. So, well, it's like almost like speaking at you, but also with you. I guess that's why I would explain the title. But I don't even know that I really said that, how I wanted to say it. But his also 800-page book or something is called The Science of the Mind. So if you look him up, he's a philosopher. He's a well-known philosopher. And basically, his methods of meditation, used for healing and improving mind, body, spirit, prayers, all that sort of stuff, it's basically like a religious psychology. And probably the way that it's formatted and the way he writes has to do with being, considered the founder of the religious science movement. But whatever the case, I think the way that he writes can apply to a lot of different people that aren't necessarily religious. And so this book, this thing called You, again, his name is Ernest Holmes. He's really well known for the science of the mind. And there's also another beautiful book that I love. Again, I have created my own Bible out of it. It's called Prayer, and it's how to pray effectively. And I guess these are excerpts and passages that he's taken from, or somebody took from, the science of the mind. So maybe I will try to attempt to read that book in clips. But I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I will read to you again next time. I hope some of this provides value for you, something good and positive to hear, something new, something different. Maybe you don't necessarily agree or relate to a lot of things out there that are religious, or even, again, spiritual. Like it's just way too much for you. And some of this stuff can get really deep too. But they're definitely books you can just pick up and just flip to and just see what resonates with you. Maybe it inspires you to write. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you next time.